Good evening, Den Bosch. You're listening to the Dragon's Den Blue and White Radio. I'm Mark, and I'll be honest, I've spent most of the week trying to decide how I feel.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
So the club announces a self-imposed transfer ban, and not because they have to, because they want to? No signings, no loans, no safety net. That's not something you hear every day.
No, but it's something you feel every day if you're around this club. The ownership didn't hide behind excuses, they called it what it is, a philosophy.
Yeah, but a philosophy that could get very uncomfortable very quickly.
Or one that finally gives the club an identity again.
That's the hope. The idea is clear enough. They want to climb Dutch football by building within, focusing on youth, facilities, coaching, training, grow your own players instead of buying answers.
And reconnecting with the city. They talked a lot about local kids wearing blue and white and believing there's a pathway for them.
I like that part. I really do. I just really worry what happens when reality hits. Injuries, bad form, thin depth. Philosophy doesn't help you in February when legs are gone.
Neither does panic buying, to be fair.
That's true, but at least panic buying feels like you're doing something.
Sometimes, the harder choice is standing still and trusting your work.
Which brings us to the new manager, Joey Kannoli, the American, with very little experience at this level, or any level really.
But completely committed to the idea.
Yeah, that's what we're told. He didn't ask for exceptions, he didn't push back on the philosophy, he took the job knowing exactly what he was walking into.
And that matters. The club didn't want a manager who'd complain the moment things got tough. They wanted someone who'd believe.
Belief is nice, but belief doesn't win promotion and win trophies. I've also seen belief get managers sacked.
I've also seen belief turn young players into leaders.
That's fair. Kannoli does talk about patience, about giving youth real minutes, about building something that lasts longer than a single season.
Which is why I'm cautiously excited. Not because I think it'll be easy, but because it finally feels intentional.
I will admit this much. At least it's honest. There's no promises of quick promotion, no talk of shortcuts.
Just a clear direction.
The blue and white dragon finally deciding to grow its own fire.
Built, not bought.
I'm still not sure how far that fire takes us, but I suppose we're about to find out.
The 2025-26 season is almost here, and whether you're hopeful or hesitant,
we'll be here to talk about it every step of the way. Until next time, good night, Den Bosch. All right, welcome to the Dragon's Den FC Den Bosch. Built, not bought. This is going to be a very fun series that I'm looking forward to. I'm really hoping it lasts a long while. And for any of you guys that were still watching my Scottish series, the one about the Golden Coast project, that's not going anywhere. It's going to probably be mostly a stream series now, as the videos are very long form. So it'll be over on Twitch. The link's still in the description. You ain't going to miss none of that. But for this new series, as you guys heard in the little radio show, the Dragon's Den Blue and White Radio, we are doing a youth-only project, a youth-only save, a youth-only series right here in the Netherlands with FC Den Bosch. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. The real reason I chose this team, the club badge is just so fire. It's a dragon. It's so clean. Blue and white's always good colors. And the badge is just, perfect. And the more I dove into the club, the more I really thought, I think it makes sense to do a youth-only challenge here. So, as you guys heard in the little intro, and as I'm obviously saying it now, that is the series. We're going to do 0 signings, no loans, no added players at all. Everybody that we have on this initial roster, that's our roster. That's what it is. So as long as these guys stay here, they can stay here and play for us. And then over time, the only way we can get new players is simply youth intake day. So once a year is when we get our new signings, and it's just the players coming through the intake. Now, speaking of youth intake, let's take a look at the facilities that we here at FC Den Bosch have starting out. We have average training facilities and good youth facilities with good youth coaching and good youth recruitment. So overall, not a bad starting point. And if any of you guys out there have ever played in the Netherlands in Dutch football in FM, they do have pretty good youth recruitment as a nation overall. So we shouldn't be in that bad of a spot. But obviously, as we're not going to be spending money on new signings, we're not going to be spending a ton of money on, anything related to the transfer market. And really, a lot of these players' contracts aren't going to be that high, especially in these first couple seasons. The money that we do have and the money that we do get is going to be reinvested into these facilities. The training ground needs to come up, the youth facilities need to come up, the youth coaching needs to come up. Every single bit of money every single bit of money we get is going to go into these facilities and the stadium. We do have a pretty decent stadium. It was built in 1951, but it was rebuilt in 2018. It holds 7,500 people, and about 7,000 of those are in seated chairs. So overall, not a bad starting point. And if we look at the league, we are in the Erste Divisie. You know, don't make fun of my pronunciation. I am an American. I don't really know if that's correct or not. That's just what I'm going to say. But it's the second division of Dutch football. And obviously, the top flight is the Eredivisie. So that's where we want to be going, where we can play up with the big boys, start making some good money, and maybe, just maybe, one day make our way into European competition and maybe win the league. So that's the goal of the save, not only to make it to the top flight, but I want to keep playing until we win some trophies, whether it's the Dutch Cup, whether it's the Dutch League, or whether it's even some European trophies. And I think that in the future, we have a chance. So, year number one, we are a 13-1 odds to win the title, and we are projected by the media to finish smack in the middle of the table at 9. And to be honest with you guys, that wouldn't be too bad of a year. Obviously, again, we can't make the roster better. It is what it is. And overall, I don't really know what we're going to be doing with the tactics. We're going to get into that in a second, but first things first, let's get into meeting some of these players because, well, these are the players that we're going to have for a long time, so we should probably get to know them pretty well. Our star player is a 20-year-old center back, midfielder, left back, Mies Laros, and he's actually from the Den Bosch Academy. He's been here through and through his whole career. 20 years old, already worth a good bit of money, anywhere from $3 to almost $5 million. And as you can see, he is wanted already by some clubs up in the top division. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on early because, again, if we do sell him, well, we can't really reinvest that into the transfer market. It's just going to go straight into the facilities. So here as a player, he is very good. He is good for this division. No one on the team is good for the top flight. So, we do have a pretty good squad for this flight, but no real superstars. Now at 5'10", he's pretty great overall. I don't really see him much as a center back. His heading's only 9, marking's only 8. Can't really jump, and he's not the strongest guy, but he could do a job up at midfield. He could do a job at the defensive midfielder, and he's very good at left back. So don't worry where he's going to play, but just know that Mies is going to be a very important player. Now, another important player is Kevin Manzialo, a very good winger who can play on both sides, decent with his both feet, and he can even play up top at striker. And that's something that we're going to get into here in a bit too. Our striker situation is a bit precarious. We'll just say that. But overall, as you can see, his physicals are his shining point. He's got 13s and 12s pretty much everywhere over there. He's 6 feet tall. He's got good off the ball, good work rate, good passing, good technique, pretty decent dribbling, finishing, and first touch for a winger / striker. But overall, for this second division, I think he's going to be a star. But again, 2 clubs in the top division are interested in our boy Kev. So let's hope we don't lose a bunch of people before we even get underway with this challenge. Now, one guy that's going to be hard to keep is the 36-year-old Jeffrey Fortes. Obviously, he could be retiring soon. He only has 1 year left on this contract, but I would love to keep him around, and not just because he's a good player, he's solid for this division, but simply because he has like a Swiss Army knife. He can play anywhere across the back line. He can play all the way up to right wing. He can almost play all the way up to left wing, and he can play center mid. He can play center back. He can play D mid. And those are the type of people that we're really going to need in this save and in this series because, again, depth is always going to be interesting when you can't just say, oh, we got a couple knocks in midfield, let's go bring in a reinforcement. Can't really do that. So with people like this, you always want to keep them around so we can actually always have that little bit of flexibility. Another good player, and thankfully another young player, is Nick de Groot. He is a left back by trade, but again, versatile. And so far, I'm sure you can see that theme coming through, that most of these guys are just good for the division, but so far they are versatile. And Nick is another player who has came through the Den Bosch Academy. So you can see here the Dragons, we produce some decent talent, and obviously that's what we're going to be keeping to go into. Now, this kid, I think, is our real star player. I have no idea how to pronounce his name, literally at all. Thiesh Van Leeuwen, no idea. We're probably going to call him TVL. He's always on the TV. I have no idea, but we'll probably come up with a better nickname. But as you can see, 23 years old. He is not from the academy. He has kind of come through a couple different clubs. He was at FC20, went on loan a few times, was just with TOP Os, which is the club's rival. So that's a team that we're always going to have to be beating. And we took him from them after he spent 2 years in this division, played with us last year, 22 matches, and now he is on his last year of this contract. But I think this is a player that we're going to probably offer him a new contract pretty soon because, as you see, I think he's very good, especially in that midfield area. Again, versatile. He can play on the wings. He can play up to number 10 with his mix of actual good physicals, 12 acceleration, 12 pace, 13 strength, and he has great decision making. His determination's not bad at 10. He's got good flair. He has good teamwork and work rate, and his passing being 13 with 13 finishing. 13 first touch and 13 dribbling. I think he can be somebody that pretty much is our controller in the midfield. Now back at defensive mid, we have Kevin Falida, a D mid, pretty much straight and straight. He can play up a little bit to the central mid area, and as you see, just a very good, well-rounded midfielder. Not really a shining star at any one thing, but about 11 to 12 at everything you could ask for, which is great. Again, another decent player for the division. He actually did come through our academy, left for a little bit to the top flight, didn't play a super amount for the last 3 years, but has come back this year on a free to join us on a 2-year contract, and I think we're probably not going to let him go anytime soon. So Kevin is going to be our number 6 right back there in the middle, kind of anchoring the defense, if that's the tactic we run. And again, we'll get into that here in a bit. Now at center back, we do have a few options, one of which I'm very excited about, and we're going to talk about him here shortly because he is I think, a product that we can get a lot out of. But our star center back is TVG. He can play a little bit of center back, a little bit of left back too, and as you see, again, 6'4", kind of well-rounded at everything. Nothing stands out besides his aggression. Pretty good at heading the ball. Pretty good with 14 jumping reach. So I think his height, his size, his aerial ability, he's going to be the guy back there wearing the number 4. Now, the rest of the people, you got a lot to go over. I'm not going to go through all 20-some people on the roster. I think over time as we play, you'll get to know them more and more. But I do want to talk about some of the young guys who I think are going to be superstars in the very near future. And the first one is Rafi Walters, the 18-year-old Den Bosch Academy player at striker. He's 6'2". He has very good physicals already for 18 with 13 agility, pace, jumping reach, acceleration, all that stuff, mixed with 16 determination, a fairly determined mindset, 12 off the ball, 12 technique, and then his 13 finishing, first touch, and heading are great. Now, he only does have 9 dribbling, but that's not really that bad of a start. Now, the reason I want to talk about him is because on paper, he's our 4th best striker, but this guy's a winger and this guy's a winger. So realistically, he's just behind Sebastian at striker, and this is our only other striker on paper. This guy we just signed before I got here, obviously, and he's on a 2-year contract, getting paid pretty heavy, $120,000. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't think he's that much better than Rafi. He's 24. He's Swedish. He's not from the club. I think he's gonna be the backup, and I think I am gonna start the 18-year-old Rafi Walters just to go ahead and get the project underway. I think this 18-year-old is going to be our number 9 up top, and I think the more that we develop him and train him, I think he's going to really bust onto the scene as a superstar. So the things we're going to focus on early is his final third. Things like composure, anticipation, decisions. His off-the-ball ability is, good, but I think if we can get that up too, I think these 13s and these 13s are really going to carry him quite far. So that's Rafi. Another one I'm very excited about is this 19-year-old center back, Luke Van Coverden. Again, man, I'm an American. I don't know what to tell you. He is great. The problem is he has 2 determination. When I was looking through the team initially, my heart broke when I saw that. I still think he's going to be good. He's 19. I just don't know how much we can get out of him, as his determination might kind of limit his ceiling a little bit. But 6'2", pretty decent with both feet. Very good physicals to start out for a 19-year-old. Need him to get a little bit quicker or a little bit stronger. Probably both, to be honest. And then his mentals aren't bad. 15 aggressive, 12 bravery, 12 concentration. We need to get his positioning up, but then you come to his technicals, and that's where he really shines. He has 12 heading, but 15 marking and 15 tackling as a 19-year-old. It's something that you don't see a lot, especially back there at defenders. And as all of my fellow FM players know, you can't train tackling. That just goes up over time. So to get a young kid that already has 15 tackling, I think this is going to be somebody that gets thrown into the starting 11 or at least on the bench quite a lot. And on paper, he's already our 6th best center back, and I'm leaning towards running a 3 at the back, so he's definitely going to get some game time. Now, some other youngsters I want to look at are actually in the U19s, and we have two 16-year-olds. The first one is Billy Mills, a center mid who is actually very good for 16 years old. If we look, they say he is a Tweety Divisie. Some of these words, I can't lie to you guys, man, all my Dutch guys out there, some of these words sound fake. Again, I know I'm not pronouncing them right, but Tweety Divisie? Is that the league? Really? Please tell me how to pronounce that, because Tweety Divisie sounds like a cartoon bird. But anyway, Billy Mills is already good for the 3rd division, so not too far off of where we are right now, and you can see why. His technical ability is pretty good for this young. 9 dribbling, 9 finishing, 10 first touch, 10 marking, 11 passing, 13 tackling, 14 technique. He's got good work rate, good determination, great aggressiveness. His physicals aren't the best, but for young guys, that's what happens kind of over time. They get faster, they get stronger, they get all that stuff as you just grow up. So Billy Mills is one for the future that we're going to keep an eye on. And the other one is Davy Busby, who is also a midfielder and a bit more of the going forward creative type. As you can see, at 16 years old, his physicals are off the charts, and he's a staggering 6'2", 16-year-old. 14 excel, 12 pace, 14 jumping, 13 stamina to go along with 13 determinations, 11 vision, 13 passing, and 13 first touch with 9 dribbling, 9 finishing. Davi could really be our number 10 of the future, and I hope that happens. Again, he's 16 years old. He is on a 4-year contract already. Billy Mills, we just offered a 3-year contract to make him a full-time professional. So I'm excited about these two in the future. And again, the future is what this save's about. We can't make any signings. We can't go out and say, oh, we don't have that many strikers, let's go get another one. What we got is what we got. Now, before we get into the first game and kind of get this thing underway, when it comes to the tactics, this is the first one I'm starting with. We haven't played preseason. I'm going to play preseason, off cam, and then we're going to jump into the first league match of the season, and hopefully during preseason I can kind of figure out the tactical identity I want to go with. I'm thinking something like this going forward, maybe even having this center back jump up to D mid going forward for a little bit more, aggressiveness, to have that 6 kind of step up. And this could be Mies, who plays center back and D mid pretty well. So I think on defense, we're going to drop back to this flat back 5, where we have the fullbacks drop all the way back, the 6 drop all the way back to center back, and then this is a flat 4, and we still have the 1 striker staying up top to start that counterattack. So I think I am leaning more this going forward. Again, I know it's not a 3-4-3, but I want to have wingbacks and I want to have wingers. Wingers going to cut inside and kind of turn into these 3 strikers up top. The 3 midfielders kind of just staying in the nice, strong diamond to kind of control the game. And the wingbacks get to bomb up and down that wing where the wingers are cutting inside. So that's my initial idea. Really, there's nothing else flashed out yet. I've done a little bit of the team instructions, but again, when we come back, hopefully I actually have a real tactic that we stick with through the entire save, because you don't want to change tactics a lot. You want the tactic to be the foundation that the philosophy is built on. If we're going to be running wingbacks, we need the academy coaches to start running wingbacks so that the youngsters that are coming in are playing that role, so that when they get called up to the first team, they're ready to rock. They're ready for it. They've been trained for it. They know the formation and the philosophy that we play. So that is the overall idea of this save here at FC Den Bosch. We are doing the built, not bought save. You know, this is all about growing the youth. This is all about finding that identity, and this is all about making 0 signings. So what we're going to do, like I said, I'm going to play these next 3 or 4 friendly games. We're going to come back and play the very first league match together on camera and wrap up episode number 1. So I will see you guys back here after I figure out the tactics. All right, match day 1 of the built not bought save. And here is the initial 11 we're going to be rolling out against Dordrecht away. So as you can see, this is the final lineup I am going in with. I haven't named it yet. I'm probably going to name it in the next few, hours that I keep playing. Maybe something Dragon related, maybe something Den Bosch related. Who knows? But this is the lineup we are going with. In net, we are rolling out Pepin van den Marble. He is on paper our second best keeper, but for the kind of keeper I want to play with a little bit of sweeping, a little bit of kind of getting up higher on his line, Pep is going to get the start back there in net. The center backs, obviously our star center back, Van Grunsven, is over there on the left. He is a left-footed center back, 6'4". He is a 25-year-old, so he's a little bit older on a relatively young team. Not that 25 is old, but more mature, I guess. On the right is the 20-year-old that we were talking about. He was 19 when we first talked about him. He did just have a birthday, so happy birthday to our boy Lucky Luck, who knows. But he will be starting. Not one of our best center backs, but I do want to go ahead and get this challenge underway and get the culture and philosophy underway. So why not go ahead and start playing these young kids that we need to develop? So at 6'2", great technicals, not the best mentals. We're going to see what our boy can do starting. Now, in this center back defensive mid hybrid role, we are going to play Mies Laros, the overall best player on our club with that great determination, really well-rounded everywhere. I think he's going to do great stepping up into the number 6 when we go forward, and then dropping back to center back when we are, getting nice and compact on defense. Now, over on the left wing back, we have Stan Mast, the 24-year-old left back, who is, again, very well-rounded, not a lot of holes in his game, can get up and go forward, can even play good defense with some good marking and tackling abilities, so I'm excited to see that. And opposite of him is the 36-year-old Jeffrey Fortes, the great wingback. Obviously, he doesn't have much in his physicals when it comes to his pace, but he still has good stamina, still great mentals and good technicals, so I think he can do a job for us. Now, coming up into the midfield, TVL, the guy who I thought was going to be our star, he picked up a knock into our preseasons. He's going to be out another about 4 days, so I'm not going to rush him into the lineup. He's going to miss match day 1. As you can see, he would normally be playing this number 10, this channel midfield role that kind of gets up into that 10 role. But for right now, we have Ilyas playing, and he's not a bad backup. 20 years old, Moroccan international, has great dribbling, great passing, pretty good mentals, pretty good physicals. So a good player. And again, you can see that theme of another reason I chose this team. A lot of them are in their early 20s. So a lot of these guys still have potential. A lot of these guys are young, and a lot of these guys can at least stick around for 10 years if we need them to. And on the opposite side, at the final of the 3 midfield going forward, is Kevin, the one that we talked about earlier, who's more of a number 6, but he can't play center back at 5'9". He doesn't know the position, so I'm not going to have him in this 6 that drops into a center back. I am going to play him at a CM role where he can kind of just be a little bit of everything, a little bit of a box-to-box type of player. And then our front 3 is obviously Kevin Manzialo, who is on the left with his right foot cutting in, one of the better players, one of the best physical players that we have when it comes to his speed and strength. Opposite him on the right is EJ Semedo, somebody that we didn't talk about earlier, but someone I think could be good. He is a left-footed winger, so on the right, cutting in, he's going to be good at that. Pretty pacey, pretty good when it comes to his dribbling and passing ability. Just not a lot going for him in his mentals, but for now, that's what we're going to roll out on the starter. And then, of course, up top, leading our line is going to be Rafi Walters, the 18-year-old striker. He's getting the job up top. We gave him number 12. Number 9 has been taken for now. But this is today's starting 11. The bench is deep, as you see in the Dutch leagues. You are allowed to dress 12 men on the bench, so we are rolling out a giant lineup. But without any more yapping, let's go ahead and get into match day 1 of this new save, of this new series, and of this new world that we are participating in with the Built Not Bought FC Den Bosch boys. So here we go, match day number 1. We are playing a pretty decent side with FC Dordrecht. They are projected to finish pretty much right around us in the mid-table, so this will be a good little test to see what we can do against a similar squad, I guess. All right, as kickup's about to start, I had to get into the free cam and just come take a look at these kits in game. And you can see they turn out very well. The Umbro, the Dutch Bros coffee sponsors, which for anybody that's out there that's American, Dutch Bro Coffee is just a coffee shop in America. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but I thought it was pretty funny to have Dutch Bros on the sponsor of our Dutch team. But the collar is in there. The pinstripes are in there. The all-white shorts with the blue socks. I think they look really, really clean. I don't know why, but these feel like, you know, retro kits. They feel like the 70s with the sleeves. The long sleeves look great right here on our star center back Van Grunsven. I really like that look a lot. But anyway, those are the kits. I'm really excited about how they turned out. I'm really excited about how this team is hopefully going to turn out. So let's go ahead and get into it. Dordrecht is running a 4-2-3-1 with 2 DMs. Pretty standard stuff. I'm hoping that our brand of... The way I kind of molded this tactic is it's a bit of a counterattack with how many we sit back with the 5 at the flat back, 4 flat in the midfield. We can kind of get a lot back defensively. And as I was saying that, Nicholas Rossi said, I don't really care, and just went ahead and slotted one in to the back right of the net, right past Pep. No stopping it. So, not a good start to the season, as 5 minutes in, Nicholas Rossi from outside the box beats Kevin, beats the keeper, and Dordrecht is on the board 1-0 early. So, let's see how the boys do against a little bit of early season pressure. Well, so far they're not doing too much when it comes to trying to respond to this pressure, as we are entering the 40th minute with pretty much nothing going. We've got 3 shots. None of them have been highlight worthy. We got a lot of the possession, which is what I kind of wanted from this, but with all that possession, I wanted a lot more shots. Hopefully we can get one right before halftime, as we are in the 46th minute, right before half. Dordrecht is bringing it out of their own half, and hopefully we can get a little bit of pressure, get a little bit of highlight of our own before half. Doesn't look like it. The highlight was just to show us that the ref is going to blow up, and that's half of the first match week. As you see, we're playing well, but these 4 shots haven't really resulted in much. Hopefully, the second half, we can actually start to see something come to life, and maybe, just maybe, we can get out of here with a couple points to start match week 1. Dordrecht now starting it off again from their half. We do have a bit of pressure upcoming. Playing a little bit of a high line. We're trying to make sure that the keeper doesn't get a lot of space to kind of try to launch counterattacks over their top. But it doesn't matter, because, oh my lord, Nick Venema right over the top, and he slots it right past the keeper. The defenders literally just got split in half for nothing. For almost, I mean, watch. Nick Venema is running right past Mies right there, who just watches him breeze by. He splits 2 of our 3 center backs, has a one-on-one with the keeper, and Pep just barely puts his hand up, and it's 2-0 to Dordrecht to start off the season. Not a great start, not a great look. I'm not super thrilled with this, so let's hope we can start getting some stuff going, but I think it's going to be time for some subs here in a second. After this highlight, we're going to go back to the drawing board and make a couple changes, because this is not a good start at all, as Dordrecht is not stopping. They are looking for their third. Fortes drops way back on him instead of pushing up and putting pressure on the guy, and then he gets absolutely cooked, and now into the box for their third. Good lord. I thought we were going to get saved by an offsides, but that was just a weird replay, as now we are down 3-0 before the 60th minute. So yeah, I think it's time for a bit of subs, just a little bit of subs here. Rafi Walters is on a 6-1. Fortes is on a 6. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Fortes off. We're going to put in one of the young boys in Sergio who can actually play pretty well at that right back position, but I think I could play better than Fortes was up there, because averaging a 6 is quite haram. We do have Danny Verbeek, for anybody out there that follows the Dutch game. He's a 34-year-old attacking mid. Not a lot left in his legs, but he's a very smart and technical sound player, especially when it comes to set pieces. So we're going to get him in the game. Hopefully he can change up a little bit of something. Rafi Walters having a very, very shaky debut, so not the look we were hoping to have. But the problem is, we don't have a bunch of options. Our star striker, not star, but the starting striker, allegedly, is the Swedish striker, and he's not here right now. So I think we're going to go ahead and put in Denzel up top. Yeah, and that's just what we're going to do. So those are the 3 changes we're going to make right before the 60th minute. We are getting absolutely outclassed in our first day, our first game. And you might, some of those guys on that radio show, they might be right about Joey Kannoli being an unproven manager, because so far we are looking quite unproven. 67th minute, 69th minute, 70th minute, absolutely nothing happening. We haven't even had highlights this game. Everything that could go wrong has went wrong somehow. This is just, it's not looking good, boys. It's not looking good at all. We're going to go ahead and put in El Alachi over on the left side. Maybe he can bring in something. I mean, I would just love a highlight at this point before the game ends, because if it couldn't get worse, I don't know how. So potentially in the next couple games I play, we're going to keep going back to the drawing board and maybe change the tactic up, because I have yet to see a game in FM26 where we didn't have a single highlight on our side. We literally didn't have one highlight of any whiff of goal. And again, last minute highlight, it's going to be a corner for Dordrecht. Not even anything for us. We didn't produce a corner. We didn't produce anything that scared the opposition. All we did was come out and look good in our kits and absolutely get smoked 3-0 away at Dordrecht. I mean, this is a debut to forget for us, for the manager, for the team, for the whole community, man. This is bad stuff. Over the top, maybe we're getting here. Maybe we're going to have some sort of highlight as Alachi off the bench goes for a terrible shot. I can't even lie. Barely even put any power on it. Kicked it right into a defender, so nothing good coming from it. We still have the ball, and we're still on the TV, so progress. Verbeek over the top, and he gets saved. A very, very good rush out from the keeper right there. Nothing coming from it. I was hoping maybe we'd get a corner. Nothing. So, match day number 1, we win on possession. Shots are actually pretty even towards the end, but my God, did they make their handful of shots count as we lose 3-0 in the first game of the season. So the built not bought season starts off in a pretty crushing blow, and that is match day number 1. What I think we're going to do now is we are going to go towards probably the middle of the season, around December. I'm going to keep playing some games. When we come back, we'll catch up with what's been happening. So when we come back, we will be in December, and hopefully results are going a little bit better than what we just saw. Welcome back. We are now in December of season number 1 in the Built Not Bought series. And let me tell you, Joey Kannoli and the boys have been performing quite well. But instead of me sitting here and yapping away and boring you, why don't we dive into the TV screen, listen to the Dragon's Den Blue and White radio show, and watch some of the highlights so far and see just how well they have been performing. Good evening, Den Bosch. You've tuned in to the Dragon's Den Blue and White radio, and tonight's one of those shows. 19 matches played, 43 points, first place in the league. If you told me this back in August, after that terrible opening day mess away at Dordrecht, 3-0 loss, I'd have said you were dreaming. But here we are, top of the table, 10 points clear of TOP As. And for the first time in a long time, this doesn't feel like smoke. Den Bosch lead the league with 40 goals. We've only conceded 17, which is second best in the division. And we're not just winning, we're actually balanced. They picked a system, they trusted it, and they stuck with it. Everything changed when Kannoli committed to the blue shield. 5 at the back, compact lines, wingbacks doing the running, transitions instead of possession for possession's sake. Now let's talk about us, the bitter rivals. 10 points clear. Yeah, listen again, 10 points. And remember that derby we had with them. 0-0, away, no goals, no fireworks, but the match kinda told me everything. The old Den Bosch, we lose that game. Old Den Bosch chases the emotion, but this Den Bosch, we stayed disciplined and we didn't give up a goal. We had chances, we didn't get lucky that day, so a 0-0 draw is what we got. And then we have to talk about Rafi. Rafi Walters, 18 years old, 11 league goals, second in the Golden Boot race. I've got a tweet here from Blue White Tom. He says, I keep waiting for defenders to figure him out, but they just don't. That's because movement ages faster than bodies, and Rafi, he's already thinking 2 steps ahead. This isn't hype anymore, this is just pure production from the kid. And while we're at it, Mies Bakker, 10 clean sheets, second in the Golden Glove race, no theatrics, no headlines, just saves from the guy. But we do have a cloud, Hachim Achefe. 6 months left on his deal, 7 goals, 2 assists, a 7.25 average rating. And he's saying he's going to explore options at the end of the contract. Now let's be honest, this one does matter. We can re-sign players, but we can't replace them. At least not in the transfer market. I saw a tweet that summed it up perfectly. I want him to stay, but I also don't want the club to beg. There's the balance, right? The project is built on belief, but the belief has to be mutual. Now here's where I land on everything. This is the best first half of a Den Bosch season in years, since the last time we were promoted all the way back in 2004, 2005. Not because of points alone, but because it actually feels repeatable. The tactic is now clear. The roles are defined, the young players, they're not hiding, and the veterans aren't blocking the path. 19 matches are down, 19 matches are still left. Top of the table, 10 points clear of us, the Dragon's Den is finally believing again. This has been the Dragon's Den Blue and White Radio, same place, same time next week, and Den Bosch, enjoy this moment. We've all earned it. Alright, so as we just heard, thanks to the Dragon's Den Blue and White Radio, definitely not me, we are indeed sitting top of the league here in the 2nd division in the Netherlands. It was way better than I thought. This team was projected to finish 9th. I thought we could maybe get into those playoff spots, but here we are halfway through 19 matches, 13 wins, 4 draws, and only 2 losses. And if you remember, one of those 2 losses was the first game we played together, and it was bad. We lost 3-0. The team looked bad. The team didn't look like they knew what was going on. The keeper looked bad. We did switch the keeper. We went back to Mies Bakker. We also switched the tactic. As you guys remember, I did want to run some sort of 3-4-3, 5-2-3 tactic where there was 5 at the back on defense, 3 at the back going forward, and kind of make that our identity and our philosophy. And the blue shield has been the one we've been rolling with so far. So those of you that are tactic nerds out there like me, this is what it is. It's nothing too insane. I don't really have special instructions on any players. The ones I do is for the back line, the 3 center backs and the striker to tackle harder. So when we are stuck in, they are trying to, uproot their guys that they're going up against. But going forward, it does turn into a 3-4-3. And let me tell you, these front 3, these guys get active on that counterattack. Now, this is a very counterattacking system. We'll show you some stats here in a second, but we don't average much more than about 40% possession. Some games it's 50-50, some games we do win, but a lot of games that we've won, we've had in the 30% possession range, and we've won with 3 goals. This is a very compact defense structure, which I thought would be good for us because our team's not that good, and we do have a lot of youth and a lot of decent pace. We don't have blazing pace, 15, 16s, but we have 12 and 13s that get forward and get forward quick. So this is the blue shield tactic that we normally run. The other tactic I've been working on is the blue and white break, which is much more attacking. As you see, it's very attacking mentality. It's a little bit of the same structure. Defensively, it's, a flat back 5 with the 2 DMs. The wingers stay up high. The striker stays up high, of course. So this is a bit more when we're chasing goals or if we're going into games against weaker opponents. I've rolled this out maybe 2 times to start, but most of the time if we're chasing a goal late, this is what I switch to try to, I guess, put a little pep in our step. But For the most part, we are in the blue shield. It's our primary trained tactic. It's the one that the youth teams are learning. It's the one that the coaches know that it's our identity now. So that is the tactic. Now, for the stats, we have the most goals in the league with 40 through 19. We also have the most shots in the league by a pretty good margin, if I can remember. Let's see. Goals, and then where is the shots? Yeah, we have the most shots in the league by almost about 75. So we not only are scoring a lot, but we're shooting a ton. And that's because of that counterattacking, just spring forward, system that we've kind of implemented. And here in the average rating, you can see that the wingbacks are very high up there. So Stan Mass is our left wingback. He's playing really well, 24 years old, got about 2 more years left on his contract, about a year and a half realistically. But he's playing fantastic. Hachim Achefe, we're going to talk about in a second. But Shetty Barglin is the right wingback. Now you can see he's more of a winger. He has 10 tackling, he has 9 marking, so he's not bad. Doesn't really have the strength, doesn't really have the stamina. But in this system, if you can tackle and defend just enough, you're going to be great at wingback for us. So I think going forward, if we get a couple guys who are like this, or even just natural wingers in the youth academy, we can turn them into wingbacks and we can really unlock them into probably their fullest potential in this system. So Shetty Barglin's been playing great, averaging a good average at 7-1. Now Hachim Achefe, this is the guy we need to talk about. I think the radio show might have mentioned him a little bit, but we have some big things to talk about here. So in this series, remember, we can't sign anybody new, but we can re-sign the people that started with us in the save. Now, Hachim Achefe is one of those guys. He's 25 years old. He's one of our better players on paper. He's decent for this division, but as you see down here, he's playing fantastic. He has 11 starts, 3 appearances off the bench, and he has 7 goals and 2 assists in the league, averaging a 7.25. He's playing on the right side, sometimes on the left side, but he is an important piece of that top 3 when we go forward and launch those counterattacks. The problem is, about 2 months ago, he came to me and said he wants to explore other options. I tried to barter with him. I tried to say, look, we'll pretty much give you whatever you want because we have money to spend. We don't have a transfer budget. We don't have a scouting budget. All the money we have goes into facilities and player contracts. He didn't really care. He wasn't really hearing it. He wants to check if the grass is greener. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to leave. It's not saying that he's going 100% to leave on a free transfer. It is saying, though, that he will listen to other clubs. So that could be something big to listen to. We do have depth, but we don't have depth that's that talent of Hachim. So something to, keep an eye on at the end of the season. Now, again, some more player stats. Rafi Walters is second place in the Golden Boots, the 18-year-old striker that we talked about in the beginning of the video. He's still 18. He doesn't turn 19 for about 3 or 4 more months in about late April. I was going to say mid-April, but, I can read. So you can see he has improved. This is something that I've, been, I guess, moaning about for a while, but, there's no real way to check how much he's improved like the old days. They used to show you a visual graph of like he went up +2 in dribbling, plus this and that. Can't really tell. The only one I vividly remember off the top of my head is he had 9 dribbling and now he has 10. I know he had 5 decisions and those are up to 6. Composures probably went up as well. That's what we are focusing on. Right here you can see we're focusing on his final third, which is his composures and decision because they were pretty bad and you kind of need both of those up top at striker. Anyway, the 18-year-old has been leading our line all season long. 17 appearances, 1 of those off the bench. He has 11 goals and 2 assists, averaging just over a 7. And realistically, I know he only has 4-star potential, but 4-star potential for this team is probably a good Eredivisie player. Now, he's leading for the 3rd division, so he has come up. I think when we started, he was decent or maybe just good, so he has gone up a bit. They think his potential is only good for this 2nd division. And even if that's the case, doesn't really matter. We can't really upgrade the kid unless we get a better guy in the youth intake. So Rafi Walters has been the hero so far with all these goals up front. He's an 18-year-old from the Bosch Academy. He's one of our own. So the season has been really, really fun so far to start. I mean, I knew it was going to be fun. I started this save for a reason, but I have been addicted to playing this. It's only been a day. Last night in real time, I started the save. And today is now Friday, and I'm almost finished the whole season. And I don't sim games. If you guys know me in my other series that we've done, I don't simulate matches, I love to just play it, and I have been absolutely no lifing this save so far, so I've been having a blast. But that is the mid-season update. We are now going to play until we get the youth intake. Now, the youth intake is telling us that it's going to come around April 4th. So that's going to come just after this game against Almere City, where we only have about 5 matches left to finish the season. So what we're going to do is we're going to play these games off camera. We're going to come back in April, right in time for that youth intake, and see the very first batch that we can get through the academy and then finish the season. I don't know if every episode is going to be a full season in itself, but for the first episode, I thought it would be important to play the whole season, give a lot of updates, and get that first youth intake through so we could kind of really sink our teeth into who we got coming up next. So that's the idea. So next time when I see you guys just here in a second, we're going to be in April, and we're going to have the first batch of the new Dragons. It's finally that time, the very first youth intake of the Built Not Bought save is here, and as you see, apparently we have a golden generation possibility, but from what I can already see, we have 4 elite talents, with the 5th being a top talent. Now, I haven't clicked this yet. I have been waiting patiently for this day to come. We've been chugging through the season. We had a little bit of a hiccup, so we're no longer in first. We'll go over that in a second, but let's get into the most important thing. Our head of youth thinks that Al Hassan Suleimana apparently is the leading, very gifted player, the highest potential guy. Also a crazy name. All right, here we go. 4 elite prospects, 3 top prospects, 6 good prospects, and 3 decent prospects. So overall, a pretty good intake. Lots of different countries. A couple one Indonesian kid, a couple Turkish kids, an Irish guy, another Turkish kid, one from the States, one from Curacao, of course. That's a little island owned by the Netherlands, I'm pretty certain of. But even down in the top prospects, we have a guy that's a 4.5-star potential. And then up here, we have 2 5-star potentials and 2 4.5-star potentials. So let's go ahead and take a look from top to bottom at Dinsley. This is our keeper, 5'11", unambitious with 3 determination. Not ever what you want to see. You want to at least hope they got some decent personality or decent determination, but maybe we can mentor him one day down the line and see what he turns into. 5'11", so hopefully he can get to at least 6 foot, maybe 6'1". Nothing too special that stands out. He's got 11 punching, a couple 10s in kicking, or not kicking, but handling in one-on-ones and rushing out. So probably more of a sweeper keeper. But yeah, nothing too crazy here for Dinsley, but he does have the potential. And as we know, goalkeepers are late bloomers anyway. The next one is Colin Mierzorg, the 5'10" winger who's pretty 2-footed, can play on both sides of the wing and through the middle, which is very nice. We don't run a 10, but we do run the wings. Pretty good overall. 15 technique, 12 finishing, 10 first touch, 10 heading. Really good mentals for a 15-year-old. 13 aggressive, 13 aggression, 12 decisions, 14 flair, 13 teamwork, 8 determination with temperamental mentality, personality. So probably going to have to work on that a little bit, but overall, not too bad. Again, 4.5-star potential, so somebody that we're going to be looking forward to having in down the line. So far, let's see just, overall where he would rank. Pretty far down. Yeah, 15th best winger, which, that is one of our deeper positions, is the wings. So not too mad at that, but I do see a future there for Colin. Now, Sam Duran, the American. Okay, he's naturally a number 10. He has great determination and a great determined personality. Again, decently 2-footed. Great finishing, really good technique. 13 flair, 13 aggression to go along with that 18 determination in his mentals. And then when we come over to physicals, he's actually very pacey. I know I didn't mention it on Colin, but Colin wasn't that great physically. I think he had like 8 excel, 9 pace. So not bad, but not a great. This kid, though, very fast, good finishing, good technique. Not the best dribbler. So as much as I would want to put him out on the wing because we don't run a 10, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Maybe in the future he could turn into a striker. Not too sure, but for now, a really good prospect with great 5-star potential. Maybe we could drop him back to midfield, but he can't tackle, can't mark, doesn't have the dribbling, so he's a weird one. He's a weird one. You got any ideas? Let me know. And then the last one is apparently the best one, Al Hassan Suleimane, and I see why. Okay, we got one. 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. Again, really two-footed. He's got the acceleration, he's got the pace, he's got the natural fitness, good stamina, 5'8". He's a realist with 17 determination, 14 flair, 11 off the ball, 10 work rate, 14 aggression, 8 dribbling, 13 finishing, 10 first touch, 11 heading, 10 passing, 13 technique. Yeah, the kid's got it all. So he's 16 years old, just turned 16 about 2 weeks ago. I wonder where he got the name from. Okay, he's Dutch and Ghanaian. So born here in the Netherlands, from a secondary nationality of Ghana. That's where he gets the dope name of Al Hassan Suleimana. Now, this is a guy I think that we could probably have coming up in the first team, probably not in the distant future. He is already our seventh best striker. That's a position that we're not really deep in. Rafi Walters is the number one. The Swedish Sebastian is the number two. And after that, it's kind of just a bunch of wingers. No one here is an out and out striker. So there might even be a chance that he comes into the fold next season in our second season up there. So that's the top four guys, the elite prospects. I do want to look at some of these top prospects like Fran Princeton, who is a center back, left back, D mid, 6'5", left footed. Physicals are very interesting. He's not slow, especially for being 15 and 6'5". He's got 10 excel, 9 pace. Strength's low at 5, but he has 15 jumping to go along with that 6'5" frame already. 17 aggression, 10 determination, fairly determined personality, 13 teamwork. Heading's not great either at 6. Marking's pretty good though at 10, and tackling's 7. 13 dribbling is very weird. Don't know where the 6'5" center back has the 13 dribbling from, but hey man, shout out to him. So Fran Princeton, I could see that becoming a guy down the line. Left-footed center back, 6'5". That's nice. Don't even know how to go about pronouncing this Turkish kid's name. Ayup Khan Delabata. That's my guy right there. 5'11", balanced personality, 10 determination. He looks like a pretty decent striker. 14 finishing, 10 dribbling, 9 first touch, 11 technique, 11 excel, 9 pace, 13 work rate, 14 flair. I think in the future, this could be somebody that, again, makes a little noise and potentially could be a nice depth piece at that striker position. I mean, remember, I know I've said it probably 10 times already, and you guys are watching for this reason, but this is our free agency. This is our signings. This is our everything. So even these guys down here, until the day that they become like garbage, they're gonna get signed because we can't go get anybody else. And these guys, the good prospects, those are probably going to become actual players for us. Because right now, if any of these guys hit 2.5-star, 3-star, that's a good player for this team. You know what I mean? So even if it's 2 or 3 or 5 years from now, they'll be featured on the team at some point. So the first two in the top prospects did look pretty good. The last one in this is a winger, John Verwij. John Verweij. No idea. Balanced personality, 12 determination, 5'10", right-footed. Actually has some good pace to start out at 15 with 13 pace, 10 excel, 11 first touch. Not the best dribbler, not the best at technique, but I can see the project. That's what it's all about here. And then again, we got a handful of good players down with the 3-ish reigns of potential. Another big center back at 6'3" for PK, and he's left-footed too. But again, kind of far off. So the highlight is obviously Al Hassan. He's actually a very good-looking striker that I think, like I said, we're probably going to let him develop this last half of the season just to kind of get used to the tactic in the youth team. But I have a feeling that coming up in the next preseason, training camp, Al Hassan's going to be on that team to start getting ready for the first team at 16 years old. Now, before we finish the season and we come back, we have played a few more games since we last saw each other. We played all through January, and things started to get a little shaky, as you can see. We were in first, we were cruising, and then the thing that happens in a save like this is we picked up a couple injuries. A couple wingers, a couple midfielders got knocked. None of them were serious, but they were all a couple weeks at a time, all kind of tightly together. So after two more wins against Dordrecht and Helmensport, we got a draw against Vitesse, and then it all kind of just started crumbling. I think in 9 games, we only picked up one win, two losses, and a lot of draws. The last game we did play, we finally got back in the win column, and it was just a 1-0 dub. Now, we do have these last 6 games in the season, and then we should, if all things go correctly, be getting promoted. So 6 games left this season. We are sitting in second. We've already qualified for the playoffs. Now, if you guys aren't used to playing in the Dutch divisions, there's obviously B teams down here, like AZ's B team, Ajax's B team, a couple others, but they can't obviously win the league. But more importantly, no, they can win the league. I'm sorry. They can't be promoted. So even though we are in second, that just means that second and third would go up automatically, even though AZ's B team would be crowned the champions. Now, I can't lie to you guys. I don't want to go up like that. I want to go up as the champions. You know what I mean? We've been doing this for this whole season where we kind of were riding that wave of being up in first for a long time. So with these last 6 games left, only out 5 points from lifting our first trophy in almost 21 years exactly. The last time this team got promoted to the Eredivisie was 2004, 2005. So this is going to be the goal for the last 6 matches. And when it's all said and done, we will be coming back to see how we performed. And of course, if it becomes a nail biter, we will play a couple of these last games together. And at the very least, we'll be watching the highlights and showing you what all happened. So that's the plan, and let's go ahead and get into it. And just like that, year number 1 has come to an end. And luckily, though it wasn't as great as we once thought it might have been, we got promoted. So next season, when we come back, the mighty blue and white, the Dragons, FC Den Bosch, will be back in the Eredivisie where they belong. So let's take a look at how we performed at the end of the season. Last time we checked in, we were slipping down to second, and as you saw, or as you see rather, we did keep slipping down, and we finished third with 70 points. Still though, only 6 losses on the entire season. The real problem was how many draws we ended up with in the last 19 games of the season. You know, earlier when we did the halfway mark, the first 19 games we were flying. You know, once the blue shield tactic started to hit, we kind of didn't look back. And then the back half of the season, well, we had some injuries, which we talked about. And of course, with a save like this, we couldn't replace those players. And then when players get in funks, you also don't have a lot of depth and all that stuff. So it just kind of all stacked on top of each other. And I think that mixed with a little bit of complacency, mixed with a little bit of the teams in the league realizing that we aren't really that great. You know what I mean? We weren't, talent-wise, we're not a team that should go out and win this league. But regardless, none of that matters anymore. The league is over. 38 games later, 70 points later, Den Bosch is getting promoted in third place up to next year's Eredivisie. So that's going to be very, very interesting and fun to see what happens. We did have some new players sign contracts. Kevin Manzialo has signed a new deal to be the highest paid player until 2028. We also signed back Mies Bakker at the goalkeeper. He's on contract until 29. Let's see who else we signed. I know we had a couple others. TVL, the young midfielder, not anything as crazy as we once thought, but still a good year from him, a 7.9 with 2 goals and 4 assists. So have 7.09, not 7.9. But he signed a new deal for 3 more years until 2029, and most people signed newer deals. Now, we do have a couple people that are still contracts are ending at the end of this season, 5 of them. One of them is Pep, the keeper that we tried to start in the first game, and you know how that went, 3-0 loss. He never featured much in the team ever since then. He does have pretty decent potential. He's probably not going to want a bunch of money, so there's a chance we sign him back. The only reason I'm not super interested is because, one, well, we signed the new young kid, Dinsley, but this kid's been around since the beginning of this save, obviously. He's actually from Den Bosch Academy in real life. He's 19. He's got the height. He's got some good attribute quality. He's got some good attributes and quality, not attribute quality. So I think I might let Pep walk, and we're just gonna make Bismillah. It's definitely not his name, but we're gonna make him the backup keeper officially moving forward. I think that's the plan. But as far as the other four people that are out of contract, well, one of them is obviously Hachim Achefe, who finished the year with 11 goals, 6 assists in all comp. Four of the assists in the league, and 10 of those goals in the league. He's a great player. He was our starting right winger all season, but he still won't talk to us to sign a new deal. So we're gonna have to wait later into the offseason to see what happens with that. The only other one I'm kind of interested in signing back is potentially Danny Veerbeck. I know he's 35, but I kind of like the realism of keeping some older players in the team just to kind of help mentor the young kids that we have coming through and the 20-year-olds that we have kind of starting everywhere. He's not great, but the games where he came in off the bench, you could see his quality. He had 5 goals, 6 assists, pretty much all of them off the bench, averaged close to a 7 on the dot, and he's still got the ability. He's just not, he doesn't have the legs anymore. So, all in all, not bad. He's leading for the third division. So, again, not a great player, but we aren't in the market to go out and get better depth pieces. Now, this one's also weird. This player has good qualities. He's also good for the third division. He's decent enough versatile where he can play midfield, he can play up at 10, and he can play on that left wing, and he's right footed, so he'll cut in. The problem is, he didn't see a lot of the field. As you see, he only played in 1 game as a starter, 6 games off the bench. Didn't really do a lot with that time, but he also didn't get a lot of time. So, depending on how much he wants, contract wise, as long as he wants like around 40 grand, maybe 45, we're probably going to sign him back, maybe send him out on loan just so he can actually get some game time, and we'll see if he can, develop into anything. Because at 6'4", with these kind of baseline starting attributes, I think he could be really crazy in the future, but we'll just kind of have to see what happens. All right, and before we move on, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the key player stats for the season. And obviously, we can't gloss over the 19-year-old superstar potentially in the making, Rafi Walters. We asked him to be the starter from day one at 18 years old. And with 36 starts, 37 total games, he had 17 league goals and 5 assists, averaging just under a 7. He ended up tied third in the Golden Boot race with those 17 goals. He performed well. He developed well. You can see his dribbling's up to 10. His decisions are kind of going up slowly. Anticipation went up 1. Composure went up 1. And overall, next year, we're going to be asking him to lead the line again, so cross fingers that he does good. Kevin Manziala was another one, our second highest goal scorer, who had 14 goals off that left-hand side, 2 assists in the league, averaged just over a 7. He is on a new contract. I think we mentioned that, but he is on a contract for 2 more seasons, highest paid player, worth a good bit of money, and he's one of our actual guys that are in that area where they're about to reach their prime. 25 years old, maybe a little bit more potential to go. Maybe a couple of these get up to the 12s or 13s, but he's kind of done. Either way, though, he's going to be a big player for us next season as he had a great year. One of the better players on paper is Mies Laroche, who knows? He played kind of everywhere for us. I know I mentioned it in the beginning of the season. He's 5'10". He can play center back, D mid, center mid, left back, left wing back. And let me tell you, he played left wing back, he played center back, and he played center mid. So I don't think that's going to change going into next season. I think he's going to keep being that utility man. 35 starts, 36 total games. He had 1 goal, 2 assists. But as you see, he averaged over a 7. He's not ever going to be obviously, he's never going to be the goal scorer. He's not ever also, I don't think, going to be the creator. I think he's going to be that kind of glue guy, that guy that starts games everywhere, that guy that probably is the heartbeat of the team. And hopefully one day I would love for him to be a captain type of player. He's been through the Den Bosch Academy. He's been a young dragon. Now he's an actual dragon here with the blue and white. And it doesn't hurt that he has 19 determination with a determined personality. His leadership's 9, but he has good 14 teamwork, and again, that determination really kind of just, hits the head on the nail for me, or the other way around. Either way, speaking of center backs, TVG over here, the left-footed 6'4" center back, played really well, averaged under a 7. He had 2 goals, 2 assists. He, for some reason, and obviously you can see here why, he has really good passing, really good dribbling and crossing for a center back. He can play left wing back too. That's something that I think didn't really happen much because I wanted to keep him back there at that anchor. He had 2 goals off corners, and those 2 assists, he literally would launch balls from way back in the back line and just send people on crazy counterattacks. So I really liked that a part of his game. Kevin Fielda didn't really do anything special. No goals, no assists in the league. Played a lot, averaged just under a 7. He's naturally a defensive mid. We only run 2 CMs, but when we're out of possession, they drop back to D mid. He's going to be a type of player, though, that I don't think we ever get rid of because of just how well rounded he is. He's not a standout at really anything. His physicals are good. His mentals are good. His technicals are good. His best ability is definitely in these mentals. He can read the game really well with his anticipations and decision. Got good teamwork, good work rate to go along with those solid physicals. He was just a good player. Nothing crazy though. I'm trying to point out some of the highlight ones, and this is a big one. Shetty Barglin, the Sudanese national, who's getting a couple more call ups, only played in 20 matches starting, only featured in 22 total in the league, and he finished with the third highest assist tally at 11. He also knocked in 2 goals, averaged close to a 710, and at 23 years old, he still has a whole nother star of potential, and I think we might be able to get that out of him. Now, he's naturally a right winger, but we put him at right wing back all season long, and Jeremy Fortes is better on paper, but this kid is obviously way more dynamic. And when he was in the game, he went crazy. He did pick up a couple injuries that kept him out, as obviously we just said. He only played in 22 of the 38 matches, but having him back for next season, he's got 1 more year left on his deal. I'd like to sign him and bring him on for a longer term contract because he's got the potential, he's got good size, he has great athleticism ability, and the dribbling, crossing, and finishing going forward is really good. And he's not a slack on defense. The 11 marking, 10 tackling to go along with the 12 work rate kind of does enough. So Shetty Barglin was a big surprise this season. Didn't really expect that guy of all people to kind of just take off. Now, some of the other ones I want to talk about are the players that we looked at early in the season. LVK, the center back that was 6'2", his big downfall is the determination. His personality is balanced, but that determination is going to be an issue. He did feature in 15 starts, 8 appearances off the bench. He had 2 goals thanks to his insane height at 6'2", but the good jumping reach, the solid heading. So not a bad debut season. Obviously, not everyone's going to be a Rafi Walters where they kind of steal the show, but I think he's on the right track. Now, one weird one I want to talk about is EJ Semedo. I had him on the club shortlist initially to be a winger, and he did play a lot of games at wing off the bench here and there. But you see, he had 12 starts, and I can assure you, none of those starts were at winger. He ended up later in the season for us, shifting all the way back to left wing back. Now, he's naturally a right winger, but he's a natural left footer, so he cuts inside. So, when we were running through all of those problems of lack of depth, we only have one true out and out left back, and that's Mees. He was great. He got hurt for about 2 or 3 weeks straight. So EJ Semedo, I said, listen, kid, you're going to learn to play left wing back, buddy. And he played it pretty well. He had 1 goal, no assists, averaged about a 6.6 in the league, but he's like a Shetty. He has the athleticism, doesn't have the marking and tackling like Shetty. They are 5, they're not great, but I think we're gonna have to do that over this save. There's gonna be people that are gonna have to learn new positions because we just don't have the facilities for that. Now, one more I want to talk about. The last one I want to talk about is Billy Mills, the 16-year-old who's now 17. Later into the season, we brought him up just to let him start training with the first team. He still played majority of his games in the U19s, as you can see. He played 40 games for the U19s, had 5 goals, 11 assists, averaged a 7.4, so he's miles ahead of the U19 league. And he did make his first team debut here for us. He had 4 starts late in the year when we were pretty much already good for promotion, already lost the league title, and 5 appearances off the bench, knocking in his first pro team assist, averaging a 6.8. So not a bad season for a kid who came in very late and started to just kind of, feel it out. So this is someone that I'm looking forward to in the near future to play because, again, we run a CM on attack and we drop back into this D-mid role out of possession, and he can do both. Obviously, he's 17. He's still going to keep growing. He has the best potential on the team, I think, even after the new youth intake. So this kid could go very far, could be a very important player for us. So those are all the key stats for this year. So let's go ahead and move on. So that does it for episode number 1 of the Built Not Bought save here at FC Den Bosch. When we come back for episode number 2, the first thing we're going to start off on that episode is talking about the academy lore that we've created. The Players Academy that we have, we're going to be calling it the Dragon's Forge. That's where all the young dragons are going to get forged through the flames, and of course, most of them will make their way up through the ranks into the first team. But we got some cool things to talk about, things like a couple special numbers that actually mean something to the players that get called up, and all types of other traditions and lore to go over. So I'm really looking forward to that next episode. Hopefully you guys that made it all the way here, you guys enjoyed this whole first episode. I think the season was pretty good overall. I think the save is going to be really fun also, and I'm really looking forward to keep playing it until we can win some leagues, we can win some cups, and maybe even win some Continental Cups, maybe even a Champions League if we're feeling it. So anyway, for those of you that made it, thank you. Hopefully you're enjoying the content. Subscribe, like, all that corny YouTube stuff. And if you're really feeling it, drop a comment below, say what's up. And I can't wait to see you guys back here in the next one for episode number 2. But for now, I'm going to let the Dragon's Den Blue and White Radio take over the outro. I'll catch you guys next time. It's that time again. This is the Dragon's Den Blue and White. And tonight, this one's special. 38 matches, 10 months, and a promotion that nobody even saw coming. FC Den Bosch are going back up to the Eredivisie for the first time since the 2004-05 season. Not with money, not with any panic buys, but with pure belief, structure, and a group of players who fully bought in. Now let's talk about how we really got here. The good, the bad, and the very real lessons heading into the next season. Let's start with the headline, because it still doesn't feel real to say it out loud. 3rd place, automatic promotion, 70 points. This club was tipped to finish 9th in preseason. Some had us mid-table, even lower. Some had us fighting in the playoffs at best. Instead, the boys finished above a handful of clubs that people thought would be fighting for the title or this promotion spot. Now, we're not going to sit here and pretend that the second half of the season was perfect. From January to early March, it was very uncomfortable. The final 19 matches, we only took 27 points. At one stage, we had 2 wins in 12, with 8 draws mixed in. That's not really title-winning form, and you felt it in the stadium. We didn't collapse, but we did wobble. And here's where the cracks started to show. Not in the effort, but in the depth. Injuries didn't destroy the season. There wasn't any, year-long injuries or anything, but they did expose the reality of the squad. A couple weeks without a wingback, a knock here, a muscle strain there, and suddenly the margins disappeared. I mean, Kannoli was even turning EJ Semedo, who's a right winger, all the way back into a left wingback the back half of the season just because we didn't have any cover back there. Now, Semedo did play well, and that shows that a lot of these players have to be versatile, but still, that shows that there is those worst case scenarios where injuries pick up. But the Blue Shield system stayed strong, but maybe a little too strong. One listener on X put it perfectly. At Den Bosch Till I Die, he says, "Feels like the tactic carried us when the legs went. Players were gassed, but the structure at least kept us afloat." And that's fair. The system masked a lot of weaknesses and holes that we had, but when rotation was needed, you just kind of saw the drop in quality and there really wasn't that much there. And remember, no transfers allowed, no loans, no January patch jobs. The squad just had to survive as it is. And then, of course, we can't forget to talk about the second meeting with us in the Derby. It was March 13th, Friday the 13th, and it was another draw. The earlier matchup we saw in October at home was a 0-0 draw. The matchup we got in March was a 1-1 draw with Kevin Manzialo having our goal. And then, of course, Decore for us scored the equalizer in the 82nd. Still, not a classic, not a collapse, but in the season, the 2 head-to-head matches, points were shared in both. Now, let's give some flowers to where they're due. Rafi Walters, now 19-year-old, 17 league goals, 37 appearances. He was thrown into the fire, led the line as an 18-year-old most of the season, and he didn't blink. One fan emailed us in, he said Rafi doesn't play like a kid, he plays like someone who knows he belongs, and that's exactly it. Next season, he's going to lead the line in the Eredivisie. No safety net. The kid's going to be going up against players that are playing in Champions League. And then another key guy up top was Kevin Manzialo. 14 goals, highest paid player now, and he earned it. When the goals dried up elsewhere, he delivered. He was crafty on that wing, and he showed that he is one of the best and more mature players on this squad. Mies Bakker, 19 clean sheets, Golden Glove winner. During that draw-heavy stretch, Bakker probably saved promotion on his own. Shetty Barglin, missed time, still 5th in the assists leagues-wide. 11 of them. That tells you everything you need to know about his impact on the right wingback. And then we have Achim Hachefe, 10 goals, 4 assists on the right side, still undecided on his future. If he goes, that's not just a loss, that's a philosophical test for the project because the replacements only come within. And that brings us to the future, the academy, the Dragons Forge. This season wasn't just about promotion. It was about laying the rails for the next decade. The newest intake is already being touted around the club as the potential golden generation that we've been waiting for. A couple names to look out for is Colin Mirzog, the hometown winger, Sam Darren, the American midfielder, and the one that everybody is whispering about, Al Hassan Sulemana, the 16-year-old striker who potentially could be our next number 65. That's the right question. Who is the number 65? Because that number doesn't go to hype, it goes to belief. And make no mistake, someone from this group is going to earn it. So, how do we sum up this season? Not perfect, not dominant, but it was very real. A squad that was predicted to finish 9th got promoted. A club that refused the market trusted its own, and a system that carried players. The players grew into it. The next season could be brutal. The Eredivisie is not forgiving, and Den Bosch haven't been there in over 20 years. But we're not going to change who we are. We're going to stay forged, not bought, patient, not panicked, and proud of the dragon on our shirts. Enjoy the moment, Den Bosch. We all earned it. From all of us here at the Dragon's Den Blue and White Radio, we'll see you all in the Eredivisie.